I'm Debbie Moore, and some of you have seen me on some of the other videos with six screens. And I made another video a couple of years ago in 2012 where my cheeks were real fat, and my hair was really short. And now, hopefully, I look better, and of course, much younger. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about today is the fact that there are a lot of things going on in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, and um, it's kind of scary because there's so many things that are just repeating themselves from when I was a teenager. And actually, 40 years ago, I was baptized. Um, actually, July 11th, I will have been baptized 40 years ago as a Jehovah's Witness. I was 14 40 years ago. And in 1975, the Watchtower Society was telling us that we wouldn't be able to um, get through Armageddon on the coattails of our parents. And those were the exact words I heard at the Kingdom Hall that made me decide to get baptized. And there were 75 or 80 of us all together just at our Kingdom Hall alone that were baptized. Most of us were kids in the 14 to 16-year-old range. I know all my friends got baptized then that I hung out with at the Kingdom Hall, and my dad was an elder. His name was Aubrey Guy, and we were in the Memphis area, the Memphis, Tennessee area. My mother's name was Darmeline. They are both gone now. My dad died September 17th of 2000, and my mom died on May 14th, 2006. And in that year, that was Mother's Day. And even though I had never celebrated any holidays or anything, it has still been very difficult to celebrate Mother's Day with my grandkids and my kids. My kids are adults now. My daughter Tina is 35, and my son BJ is 33. And their dad is Billy Blankenship. And he's never had anything to do with our kids since I left him when they were babies. And never made any attempt to have anything to do with them. His choice, not mine. I was a Jehovah's Witness even when my mom died in 2006, and it's 2015 now. I can't believe it's been nearly a decade since my mom's been gone, and 15 years since Daddy's been gone. Sometimes it's hard to, I never thought I would be able to survive without my mom and dad because they were the ones that were there for me, because most of my life I've spent it as a single woman. Because as most of you know, in the Jehovah's Witness world, you don't associate with anybody that's not another Jehovah's Witness, nor do you marry outside the religion. What made me stop being a Jehovah's Witness in actuality, and in all truthfulness, I knew for a long time a lot of things that were going on in the organization that were not proper. My dad told me some things, and I discovered some things upon his death that were quite shocking. My mom would not believe anything negative about the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I even asked her mom if the Watchtower Society asked us to drink Kool-Aid with the cyanide in it, what would you do? And her answer was, I'll be the first one in line. And when she told me that, I had spent a lot of years trying to commit suicide because of severe depression and being bipolar and post-traumatic stress disorder. And when she told me that, I thought, then why the heck have you been trying to keep me alive if you're ready to go commit suicide at the first drop of a hat when the Watchtower Society says to? I didn't understand that at all. But um, I guess to me that was the proof, that all the proof of the pudding I needed, that was a cult. Anytime a cult can convince its members and can have so much control over them that they're, I mean, you might say, well, it's a great thing to want to die for God, but I didn't ask her if God asked her to commit suicide, would she? I asked her if the Watchtower Society asked her. And that kind of let me know that they had control more than God. And then I moved across the country to be near my grandkids because I had 3 granddaughters living in Nebraska. And I lived right on the state line between Memphis, Tennessee, and Southaven, Mississippi. Right on the state line. Excuse me. And I was 1,000 miles away from my grandkids. And I wasn't married at the time. And, you know, most of you know, you want to be with your grandkids more than anything in the world and see them grow up. And my daughter kind of surprised me with my first grandchild. Um, it was in 1995. My daughter was 15, and she waited until we were about to have a shepherding call. And I kept thinking, you know, why isn't she here? She knew we were supposed to have this shepherding call. And so about 10 minutes after it was time for it to start, the phone rang, and she says, Mom? And I said, yeah. I said, where are you? Why aren't you here? And she said, well, I just wanted, are the elders there for the shepherding call? I said, yeah, the elders are here. Why aren't you here? And she says, well, I just want to make sure that you had somebody there because I want to talk to you about something really important. I said, okay, what is it? And she said, well, are you sitting down? I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting down. I had no idea what she was about to tell me at all. And I don't think anything could have shocked me more than when she let me know that she was pregnant. Nowadays, that's really no big deal. Lots of kids get pregnant, but Tina was born in 1980, so that was roughly 1995. So, big difference in then and now. And I just kept saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I didn't really know what to think. But it turned out to be such a blessing. And I'm not saying that to encourage young girls to get pregnant by any stretch of the imagination. But our life had been very difficult. And my kids saw a lot of hypocrisy in the organization and in the congregation, and even on the street where we lived, because there were 4 other witness families. And I never could get my kids to understand, why I wouldn't let them do certain things when other families that lived on the street did. I mean, really, how can you? We had one family with 5 kids, one family with 6 kids, one family with 3 kids, one family with 2 kids, and all the other families, even though one of them was an elder family, um, when it came to 4th of July and New Year's and everything, they were out there setting off fireworks, but not my kids. And I couldn't explain to them why it was okay for the other ones, because, according to the rules of being a Jehovah's Witness, it wasn't okay for anybody to be participating in the the uh, fireworks. We didn't do fireworks. So, and then I was an elder's daughter, so I still kind of held to a different standard than the other kids, even though I was an adult, I guess you could say. But I did my best. But anyway, long story short, I moved to Nebraska, and a year after I moved here, in fact, it was 2 days before Christmas, it was December 23rd, 2009, I was going into a store to get groceries because we were expecting our first big blizzard, and we had never been in a blizzard, not in South Haven, Mississippi, or Memphis. We had ice storms, but not snowstorms. I'm talking where you have a whiteout where you cannot see past your hand, and that's how hard it snows. Anyway, I was walking into a store and I was holding my middle granddaughter's hand, Casey. She was 11 then, and I had never heard of black ice. I had no idea what it was, but apparently that's what I stepped on, and you cannot see black ice. And all I remember was I threw my hands out to break my fall. You don't do that when you're falling onto ice, because you don't break your fall. The fall breaks you. And it broke both my arms up here at the humerus, both my shoulders right here, and my neck right across there. And I spent the next few months in the hospital and nursing home, and I spent the next several years with help at home when I came home in a wheelchair. And I had a lot of adjustments to make. But while I was in the nursing home, I couldn't move anything below my neck. I couldn't even do this. Things you take for granted, like scratching your nose or wiping your tush. Simple little things like that. or even a remote control. Couldn't operate that. Go figure. Not being able to flip a channel or push a nurse call button. And during that time, my son BJ, he stayed with me most of the time, and he fed me and everything. If I needed a nurse for anything, he pushed the button, or he would just go get the nurse or something to help me. But I called. If you hear thunder, it is 3:45 in the morning here, and we're having a bad storm. And I've been trying to figure out all night how to make a video. Um, and of course, Casey's here with me. Lean over and say hello, Casey. This is my 16-year-old granddaughter, Casey. My beautiful granddaughter. She's one of my best friends. She really is. We have lots of fun together. But anyway, getting back to my other story, during that time, at the nursing home I was staying at, there was no internet. I didn't have a laptop computer or anything. I really didn't do anything much but stay in bed, because I had to be packed in ice a lot because they didn't want me to be permanently paralyzed. Of course, neither did I. And I always thought when people were paralyzed that you wouldn't feel pain, and that's another myth. You feel every freaking pain there is. You feel everything. But I was really close to one of the sisters at the Kingdom Hall that I had been going to. Mary Lou. She was like my spiritual mother, so to speak, and her husband was an elder. And in fact, we were so close that as kids, my mom and dad had made it so that her and her husband, if something were to happen to my mom and dad, her and her husband would have gotten custody of me and my little brother Greg. Of course, he's not little anymore. He's 50 now. And I think I look much younger, even though I'm 4 years older. What do you say, Greg? You know, I haven't seen you since I moved, just in case you do watch this video. Not to put you on a guilt trip or anything, but yeah, really, is to put you on a guilt trip. Mom's not here to do it, so I'm your older sister. It's my job. What can I say? But anyway, one of the days, one of the nurses, I asked him to call Mary Lou, who I talk to almost every day. And I don't know what happened, really. What made her start a rumor about me? But for some reason, she started the worst kind of rumor anybody could when you're a Jehovah's Witness. And actually, I found out in any religion, it's about the worst sin. Like the Mormons and stuff, and the Amish, and all the different groups that break off from traditional religions. She made an accusation that I was on Facebook talking bad about Jehovah's Witnesses, which, and talking about how they were wrong in so many of the things that they taught. So that was an automatic accusation of apostasy. And to be accused of being an apostate is equivalent to saying you're another Judas Iscariot, and you just betrayed Jesus for that 30 pieces of silver. I mean, how could anybody do anything worse than to betray their Savior. Well, that's what I was accused of doing, which was totally impossible, because what nobody checked out was the fact that all that time that I was accused of doing that, I was either in the hospital or a nursing home, and I couldn't move anything below the neck. No elder ever came to visit me or ask me questions. I never felt so betrayed in my life. I called my Aunt Maureen in Memphis. Well, the nurse called her and held the phone up to my ear. And I said, "Hi, Aunt Marge," which is what I called her because she was the only relative that I was blood kin to that I was able to have anything to do with other than my Aunt Grace and Uncle Harold Guy. And Uncle Harold had already died, and Aunt Grace had moved to Arizona with Cindy and her husband Coy and their kids. And my other cousin Rochelle was at Bethel. And so word got to them, got to everybody before I found out anything. And I called Aunt Marge, and she said, "Don't you ever call me, you wicked apostate. You're dead to me." And she hung the phone up on me. I was 48 years old, and being a Jehovah's Witness was the only thing I'd ever known. And the pain I felt in my heart didn't even begin to compare with the physical pain. I mean, the physical pain didn't compare to the pain I felt in my heart. I kind of got that backwards. You know, it's devastating when overnight, through no knowledge yourself, everybody you've ever known in your entire life cuts you off and you're dead to them. Everybody. Even the friends my age that had been disfellowshipped. My own brother was disfellowshipped. But at least they all knew why they were disfellowshipped. I didn't, because I hadn't done anything wrong. But literally everybody I did know all my life didn't have anything to do with me anymore. And the abandonment, I already had abandonment issues, you know. And had it not been for my kids and my grandkids and my husband David, I don't think I would have made it. David wasn't a witness when we got together, and we became life partners in 2007, and he stayed with me ever since. And we've had, you know, for better or worse, and we've pretty much had worse, considering the accidents, the health problems, because I've been in and out of ICU on a regular basis because of, you know, pneumonia and broken bones, because I regularly re-break my left arm and shoulder for some reason. I don't know, I just keep it going, you know. You know, once you get something going, you want to stop, you know. Duh. But anyway, and what I had started back a minute ago to say about my daughter, which you'll find that I do tend to talk a long time and I forget what I'm talking about, and I'll start talking about something else and then something else and something else. Well, that's because I've also had 4 strokes now right in here in the short-term memory. So if I kind of get off subject, give me a second. I'll get back on it eventually. Lord knows I could talk the ears off a donkey. And I would argue with the fence post if it would argue back, but them darn things, they don't say a word. And I guess you can tell I'm pretty southern too, but Nebraska's kind of growing on me, I guess you could say. I've been here about 8 years now, so this is home now. I don't have any home to go back to. No people, well, actually, I have my worldly relatives, the ones that actually didn't disown me. The Southern Baptist people that my mom and dad had taught me were going to be destroyed in Armageddon. All of those people, they still talk to me, believe it or not. My aunts and uncles that I didn't get to be around too much. And now I really regret that because my family's dying off. And I never even got to know them that well. But what I was telling you about was when my daughter was 15 and she told me she was pregnant. Yeah, it was a shocker. I can say that with genuineness. I had no idea at all. I had no suspicion or anything. And we had been through a lot because my son BJ had brain surgery, and he's the first one that had that brain surgery without a blood transfusion. They sawed his head in half and took out the frontal lobes. And I wish so bad somebody that knew him and what a wonderful kid he was would just take a few minutes to look up what the frontal lobes actually do for a human, because that's where your conscience is, your impulse control, your ability to tell right from wrong, the ability to foretell the consequences of what you do now. You know, what's going to happen in the future with what, in respect to what you're doing right now. He doesn't have that capability. He was 11 years old when he had a huge AVM, arteriovascular malformation, that exploded in his brain and caused 2 huge blood clots. No hospital in the world would take him and say they could do this surgery without blood, without killing him. In fact, he's the very first human to ever have it done. They considered it a success because he lived and because he could put on a hat and look normal. Nobody thought about the long-term aspect of what would happen with him. And oh, he was judged so harshly because he did a lot of stupid stuff. Yeah, he really did. But you know what? He didn't know any better. And I don't care how many of you elders that knew him, Johnny, different ones, who said, oh, he knows what he's doing. He's 20 years old. He's only so years old. No, your brain doesn't regenerate like your liver and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, when you said he knew better, no, he didn't. And I'm still pissed off about it. And it's been 22 years since he had brain surgery. And guess what? He's still learning. But none of you would take the time to look it up. Just a simple little thing to look up so you could try to understand my son a little better. It would have took you 5 minutes. Now you went so far as to protect so many freaking what pedophiles in the Kingdom Hall that you wouldn't protect one little innocent boy from having half his brain taken out, and you know what else happened to him. All you elders that protected a lot of pedophiles in the congregation, and I could name a few of you right off the roll off the tip of my tongue. Because, oh yeah, it happened to me too. I wasn't protected even though my dad was an elder. My kids weren't protected even though their granddad was an elder. Didn't matter how well known our family was. We weren't protected. And
Yeah, motherfucker.
hey, what? You be quiet.
Okay.
No, not on my video. You don't say stuff like that.
Well,
That's my son, and just blurts out whatever comes to his mind. Yeah, he's 33 and I'm 54, and no, it doesn't get better. And no, they don't ever grow up when they've had half their brain taken out. It's gone forever. Be quiet, kid. My stress level is still way, way, way here. Because my health hadn't got any better either. But getting back to my daughter, you see how there's always one kid. You're always working with one kid here. I do not honestly know how families who have 10 or 19 or 20 kids, I just don't see how on earth there's any way possible to give each child the attention that they need. Because every child is deserving of all your attention. Well, my daughter got pregnant at 15. And it was the best thing in the world to me. I wasn't upset at all. I was really happy. Maybe that sounds kind of stupid to some of you. But that baby just graduated high school. She's about to be 19 years old in 19 days. And guess what? We're going to celebrate her birthday. Just like we celebrate all birthdays. This crap I've heard on these other videos about Prince and all that saying you only have one birthday. Oh, give me a freaking break, people. There is not one thing wrong with making your kid feel like they're special one day out of the year. One day. No, that's not gonna make their head explode with being so prideful. Oh my gosh. This is really irritates me because there was one sister down south, Dorothy, I know you know who I don't even know if you're still around, Dorothy. But all the daughters would know how, and your son would know how hard you wrestled with saying what's wrong with giving them a cake just once a year, letting them know how much they mean to me. Okay, people celebrate getting married, and when witnesses say they don't celebrate birthdays, that is a lie. Because I don't know any sister that doesn't get a baby shower, which is a party for the upcoming birth of her baby. In other words, a birthday party. There's nothing wrong with it before the baby's born. What's wrong with making that baby feel loved after it's born? Not a dead-gum thing. I mean, y'all accept the wedding and all that stuff as being Christian. But guess what? The white wedding dress, the wedding ring, the flowers, the white, and all that stuff is all pagan. All of it. But that's okay. It's okay when the Watchtower Society says it's okay. As long as it's okay with them, it's okay. Do y'all remember that saying, kiss my grits? Well, guess what? Watchtower Society, y'all can kiss my grits. I don't need help doing this video. Do I? I think I'm making my points clear. There's nothing wrong with telling your kids, because if a wedding is something that God approves, and the bringing forth of children in a blessed union is supposed to be a wonderful event, blessed by God. The Bible calls it the fruitage of the belly. It's a blessing. Then how can it not be a blessing to remind that child every year how much you wanted them, and how special they are, and how much they mean to you every year? There's nothing wrong with that. My first real birthday was when I turned 50 years old.
It's not working.
The charger's not working. Then you don't have it plugged in.
I have it plugged in.
No, you gotta have it plugged in. Sorry, doing a grandma's duty. But
It's still not charging.
okay, then make sure it's plugged in down there all the way.
It's plugged in all the way.
Okay, then it's turned off. There you go. You got to turn it on for it to charge.
Your feet turned it off. I've been having it on charge for the last 15 minutes.
Be quiet.
Hey, the Amtrak.
We live one block from the train tracks. Anyway. My granddaughter, Hannah Nicole, just graduated high school, and she's already started nursing school.
And she's
Within a week, be quiet. I would say something if she wasn't passing, but she is. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I would say something if she's passing or failing, either way. Because I'm proud of her no matter what she does. She's my grandchild. Just like with my kids. I'm proud of my kids. I was never ashamed of my daughter for getting pregnant. Because, there's a lot of people that were probably pregnant in the kingdom halls when they were getting married, saying them vows and everything. They knew darn well that they were pregnant when they got married. I wasn't pregnant. Whoa, that thunder's loud. I wasn't pregnant when I got married, but guess what? I wasn't a virgin either when I got married. My mom and dad thought I was. I told them years later that I lied. I did. I was held up in the congregation to be this perfect wife, perfect kid, perfect daughter. Oh my God. I got so sick of hearing that I was going to make somebody this great wife. I was going to be such a good mother. Yeah, I was great for everybody else. And then they let me get married when I was 16. How stupid was that, Mom and Dad? I'm sorry. You know, but that was a dumb thing. And then I turned around and did the same thing to my daughter because she was pregnant. You don't make a kid get married because they're pregnant. That's not a reason anymore to get married. After all, I ended up being a single mom anyway, despite 2 Jehovah's Witness lousy husbands. Yeah, 2 of them. One of them was a ministerial servant when I got married to him. And the other one, he was a ministerial servant and a special pioneer. And neither one of them were worth shit, basically, to put it kindly to you virgin ears out there. My first husband was abusive to me, but when he got abusive with my kids, that's all it took. I walked out. I left in the middle of the night. I packed up my car and I just disappeared. I didn't care. He wasn't going to come near my kids. And neither was his daddy. Yeah. Who raped me multiple times. And you know you're guilty if you're still out there alive somewhere. You know what you did. But you let me, a little 16-year-old kid, get publicly reproved before the whole congregation. One of the reasons was because I didn't scream loud enough. You know why I didn't scream when I was being raped at 16? Because I was in such shock. I was in shock. I could not believe that was happening to me. I couldn't believe it. My daddy never did that to me. And to me, my father-in-law was the same as like my dad. So it was incestuous to me. And I thought I was worthless. And he told me I was, basically. And I felt that way, so it didn't matter what anybody said to me. When you've been violated in a way like that, you never feel clean again. Or at least I didn't. And then my second husband, yeah, oh my gosh, I was single for 8 years between marriages. It took me a long time to get remarried again because I kept thinking, even at the wedding, our wedding, I went to his kingdom hall in his state, and I kept thinking I wasn't really planning on getting married, even though I was there to get married, and I'm walking down the aisle, but I was looking at the exits. That's a sign right there. You don't need to get married. Because the night before, his mom had tried to talk me kind of out of marrying him, and I should have not married him because I didn't know of so many things, because we didn't have sex before marriage. We didn't have sex after marriage either. Ever. That marriage was never consummated. For 9 years. And they kept saying, well, why don't one of you commit adultery? Well, I know he never would.
It's howling outside.
Okay.
Stop it now.
So I just told the elders, I committed adultery with the brother I was best friends with, and his wife and I were close friends too, and I've never seen them since because they were moving to Florida. Whoa, it's hailing bad outside. You think that's a sign, or who knows? Well, it's been 45 minutes since I started this, and again, my name's Debbie Guy Moore. You can find me on Facebook, and I can type now. I'm still in a wheelchair most of the time, though. You will find out.
Look at that.
There's one of the little pieces of hell.
And that's not even half of the size it's supposed to get tonight.
Okay, and the sound just messed up on this.
Unplug it.
Yeah, but then it might not get any sound out. Don't put that in your mouth, and keep the door shut so the dogs and cats don't get out. Oh, I have pets now too. I wasn't ever allowed to have pets growing up. So, all you old friends I used to have, guess what? I got cats and dogs. And, oh my God, I think the windows are gonna get busted out of my car. So, I'm going to say goodbye. Man, I hope this isn't a sign that things aren't gonna go well today. You think? See y'all later. Watch for my next video. It'll probably come out pretty soon when I'm showing you the damage from my house. Bye.